appreciate you being here. And so my name is Joe Torrance, and I am the Director of Community Engagement for Open Table. And I have come to Columbus from the great Commonwealth of Virginia. So we drove up on Sunday night and have been here for a couple of days, and we headed back tomorrow at some point. And so, but it's great to be here in Columbus, and we're so excited about our partnership here in Columbus and with this incredible community. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to John Katoff, who is our founder and mastermind to this movement. And so, welcome, John.
Brother. Well, hi. Hello. Great to see y'all. I just want to wave to the 2 billion people who are watching. I have faith. I just want to get the whole leg thing out of the way. The truth is that we have some work in rural Maryland, and we were able to get this great deal on on an Airbnb at an Amish farm. And so we went there, and I personally have never been in a cornfield, and they happened to have one. And so I walked right in there, and they had the mounds, and I went right over. And Angie, who is a colleague of mine, I'd just like you to imagine that as we sit in this beautiful church where there is grace and mercy, she said as I fell, "Toughen up."
Pastor Joseph is good for me.
Epworth, members that might be here at the church, all the effort that goes into maintaining this beautiful congregation. Thank you, Pastor. I did destroy a display out there. I'm really sorry about it. You'll have to get your bulletins by hand next week. Moms to be, Tab, for just the transformational and dedicated work that you do for the generation that's on its way. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation, well, they have funded this because all over the country they're raising awareness for moms, and they have taken their funds to help all of us as nonprofits do this work. So if somebody says they're from Anthem and you see them, just hug them. Say you heard about their work for moms. Just the last thing that I wanted to inform you about is, as you look at me and hear me now, you will understand why they only let me talk a few minutes. And so I want to just tell you the story and the history of Open Table that our wonderful team is going to share with you. The most important thing in Open Table is listening to other people, looking at them as human beings, hearing what it is they need, and accepting that as the truth. That's what they do need, and being willing to help them achieve that, whatever it might be. Reciprocity is what it's all about. And so thank you for listening, and we look forward to the reciprocity for hearing you about what you think about this. If you have to get up and go somewhere, please, it's fine. I'm so used to everybody leaving, so it'll work out. About 15 years ago, I was a new member in the Christian faith, a new follower, and my congregation had a mission trip down to a shelter in central Phoenix, where I live, where 400 men experiencing homelessness were living at that time. And at that time, I was a member of, in my own church, of what I refer to as the upholstery ministry. And the upholstery ministry was just getting yourself stuck to the pew and just never getting up to do anything for somebody else. Pretty active ministry in our congregation at that time. And so I decided to join a mission trip down to this shelter. And all we did for 18 months, truly is we handed out energy bars. And it's funny, but it's not. How did we, living in a transformational space in our faith, come to the conclusion that fiber is what people really needed to transform their lives? Hasn't done much for me. So we went down there and we set up these banquet tables. We would go to Costco and we'd buy a lot of energy bars, and we'd set up these banquet tables. Now in the Desert Southwest Conference of the United Methodist Church, we all buy the same plastic fold-up tables, and we buy the same multicolored plastic tablecloths because we wanted the men to have brightness, a bright day. And so we set these tables up, and the men would come down through the tables and they'd say, "Oh, thank you, God bless you." We'd say, "God bless you too." It was like a supermarket checkout. Just move on down the line, move on down the line. I don't have time to look into your eyes and see who you might be. What's so interesting about handing out is that when you give something to somebody, it creates space between you. You're kind of pushing space so the person can receive it. Could we experiment with this? Okay, what's your name?
My name is Robin.
Hi, Robin. I'm John. So I'm going to give this to you. You'll have to give it back, but I'm going to give it to you and push you away, okay? Now, if I have nothing to give you,
Sweet. Yeah, I like that.
and so we began to learn that maybe the work we thought we were doing was creating a space between people who really needed to have no space, but to be sharing with each other who they were, what they knew. So at the end of 18 months, this man came out of the shelter, and he is somebody that most of my life I had driven by. My license plate was my face to him. I don't know how many people I drove by that I could have gotten out the car and done something or just recognized that person, but he was one of them. You know, people say, or at least I say, that if he were lying on the street, I would most likely say the next person will call 911. I wouldn't want to get involved. He came out of the shelter and he didn't get the memo about the tables or the energy bar. He just wanted to come up to our congregation and meet people. I'm going like, I have had no training on how to deal with somebody who wants to do this. I'm thinking to myself, we don't have a bus stop within 5 miles of our church. Amen! So finally, friend and I said that we pick him up, and I didn't think he would be there. I just thought that he was in that shelter for the reasons that would just keep him from following up on what he said he'd do. And we drive down to the shelter, and Ernie's he's standing on the curb, and he's holding a cat. He has a wonder cat, or did at that time, named Cutie Pie. And so he and Cutie Pie were there, and up to the congregation that we went. And everybody fell in love with Ernie. But after a while, I started to realize that he's falling in love with me. And he wants a deep friendship. And I couldn't believe it, but I wanted that friendship too. I knew what the cup really was, and it was to drink as much of that relationship as I possibly could. I didn't know how to help Ernie. He had a broken down Ford F-150. They're going to tow it in 6 months. He has no platform to launch himself into community. That truck would be his vehicle. And so I just started thinking, wow, we have all these people in the congregation There's all these cars in the parking lot. Somebody's fixing these cars. My mechanic was named Dave. Dave has a bulletin board at that time with pictures of his family every year for the last half a decade in Hawaii. I'm going, I paid for those trips. My car paid for those trips. So I'm going to call Dave and say, Dave, you know, before you head out again, how about changing a man's life? And so I called him up. I didn't think he'd do it. And he said right away he'll do it. He bought the parts. He drove down from Mesa to Phoenix, you know, close to a 2-hour round trip. He fixed that truck, and Ernie got mobile. And I started to think about the networks that I have, people I know in my daily path that maybe somehow are being tapped on the shoulder or had that same empty place I did when I met Ernie, who need this, who need to see what they can do and receive something from the person that they're helping, which is that person saying, look at my human potential and how you've been involved in this moment. And so I was a business person at the time, and I said, hey, well, you know, we're going to have a board of directors. Ernie's going to be the chairperson of the board. He's going to write his plan, and we're going to talk to everybody we know to help him remove the barriers to doing what he wants to do in life. And so he was the chair. We met every week, and we were able to network, and all the people we knew in our where we worked, our families, our friends, car mechanics, everybody had something to offer. And it was so incredible to me that we all have something to offer, and we all did. In 10 months, Ernie became economically stable. He lived into his plan the way that he chose to. On the 10th month, he came to our meeting. He fired us, said he was sick and tired of us being in his business. I'm going, don't you see who I am? We stayed in relationship and have for 15 years now, text every morning and every night. And this experience became what you're going to hear about tonight. But there are just a couple things that I want to reinforce. There's a space in all of us to be filled by another person who we don't even know, who we may drive by and not know what their human potential is. The networks that we have, our whole development of people has been because of other people. And we have those networks. We have people that we're connected to. All they need is an invitation. And then thirdly, the person we're helping will use it to transform their lives because they're asking for it rather than a system or anybody else saying, here's what you need. In Open Table, we're saying, what do you need to have your best life right now? And so, represented here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people. Does everybody know 20 people? Have 20 people in your phone? 13 times 20 is 260 people are in the networks of all of us. We each know 20. If 260 know 20, that's 5,200. Am I right on that? 5,200 people are represented in the next ring. What could 5,200 do for another human being and a baby who is the next generation? In Open Table, a child, a baby that becomes helped, there is a great chance that every generation that grows from that baby will benefit from that help, and they will be the people in networks coming to help new babies. And that's the legacy. That's just the whole thing. Something beautiful we'll never see, but we know will happen. So we're going to introduce you at Open Table. This is Angie. Just because of how she treated me when I fell.
Back away. Back away. Back away. The real story is I saved him, y'all. I did tell him to toughen up. That's true. I was like, it can't be that bad. It was broken. So I'm going to share with you what Open Table has become today and really kind of the reason we're all here and what we're hoping to share with you all tonight. So that's a little bit small and you can't really see it quite well, but Today, Open Table has, John's experience with Ernie and the volunteers that he was with essentially turned into a model, and it grew across the country. And so now it's a licensed model that gets trained in faith communities and in civic organizations, communities at large. We have nonprofits, businesses, all types of people in the community are coming together to form these groups of people to form these tables through this licensed model. So it's now been trained in 33 states. We have a theory of change. We have evidence-based. We have, we've been blessed with quite a few people who've donated their time and their energy to do research for us and look at our outcomes data. And as I mentioned on this, so in Open Table now we refer to the individual or the family that's working with the table as the friend. And so not only do we have people coming together to form tables from all sectors throughout the community, but also many different types of referrals that are coming to tables. So while Ernie was a gentleman who was experiencing homelessness, to give you some other examples, we have all kinds of tables across the country serving young people aging out of the foster care system, survivors of human trafficking, women who are in recovery from substance use disorder, people who are reentering their communities after incarceration. So just to share some very different examples. Tonight, we're here to talk specifically about moms and our partnership with Moms to Be, and we're going to share more about that at the end. And that is specifically what we're doing here in Columbus, but that just kind of gives you an idea. And again, just like John said, the table members are coming together to share their social and relational capital with the friend and to support the life plan that the friend has for themselves. Next slide, please. Wait for it. There we go. And so this is our theory of change. And the 5 pillars of our theory of change are: number 1, relationship. And you heard this reflected in what John shared. So relationship is the foundation of everything that happens with the tables. And I don't know if you all remember the very first slide that was up when you walked in, but that was, and we'll go back to that at the end, but that is a real table actually in Bowling Green, Ohio. And what I love about that picture is that it really captures this. You can't tell who the friend is. You can't tell who the table members are. You just see a group of people in mutual and reciprocal relationship enjoying one another. And table members are in the training, it's emphasized that that is an important piece. It's not just about what they have to give to the friend, but also what they receive back from the friend, and that those relationships flow both ways. So then it's shared purpose, which is the understanding that everyone on the table, together with the friend, that everyone is able to more fully recognize and realize their own human potential through the experience of being on the table together. A safe place, it's very important that the table members, but especially the friend, knows that every time they're together, it's always going to be a safe place, free of judgment, free of preconceived notions or assumptions about people who might be coming from a different life experience than your own, which then leads to transformation and reconciliation, because that opportunity to be in relationship with people coming from very different life experiences, people who might not have ever crossed paths otherwise, people who might not have ever met, just sharing together about their different life experiences really does offer a very rich opportunity for everyone to be transformed through the experience of being on the table together and to be reconciled to each other. And then finally, local determination and ownership is that wherever, again, Open Table being a training organization and being a model, we always are going to be working with partners in the community on both sides, on the volunteer side as well as on the referral side, who's getting referred to tables. And whoever is being served by the tables and whatever the local initiative is, it will be defined locally how it gets customized and individualized to really meet the needs of the friends and the population that's being served by the tables. So this is what a table looks like, and you'll see that the friend is seated at the head of the table. That really is exactly what John was sharing about Ernie and how Ernie was the quote-unquote chair of the board. This is just an idea, an example of what a table could look like. It could be a little bit different based on the needs of the mom, but the friend is seated at the head of the table very intentionally to show and indicate that it's all about the friend's voice and choice. It's about their vision for their life, and it's about the goals that they bring to the table. And so then and everyone around the table is a volunteer. So the inside director is the volunteer that works most closely weekly with the friend, and they're going to be checking in with the friend each week before the tables come together and meet, just to find out particular challenges they might have had or various things that they want to focus on when they meet with the table. And then the outside director is the volunteer that works most closely supporting the other table members in accessing their social and relational capital and figuring out the best way to use those things to support the life plan and the goals that the friend has. And then you'll see that all the other things represent potential barriers that the friend might be facing. So things like housing, transportation, education, occupation, finance, etc. So tables are committing to meet 1 hour a week for a year. Those meetings can be in person, they can be virtual, it can be a combination of the two. Since COVID, a lot of what we've seen is that a lot of tables are doing the table meetings with the friend virtually, so that people aren't having to take the time to drive to an in-person meeting. But tables are also trained to be intentional about building relationship outside of table meetings, and so just sharing activities and doing things together to build relationship outside of table meetings. So a lot of times tables are doing the meetings virtually, but then looking for opportunities to spend time together, in person, of course. And so tables are committing to up to a year. That really is defined by the friend. Sometimes friends really feel like they've gotten they've developed strong relationship. They've gotten a lot of progress on their life plan and some of the things that they're really wanting to accomplish. So sometimes tables don't go the full year, but again, that's defined by the friend. Table members are invited to make a donation to cover the cost of training, and we'll talk a little bit more about training, but tables do train together as a team. One of the things I want to emphasize, though, too, is that everybody works together as a team, and the roles that you see around the table are not based on people's areas of profession or expertise necessarily. So I like to give examples from the first table that I served on. We had a grocery store manager that was the housing chair. We had an elementary school teacher that was the transportation chair, and a volunteer coordinator that was the finance chair. So it gives you an idea about these volunteers are really just offering to be a support and a primary connection for whatever that area is. But anybody can serve on a table, and if there's any barrier or any area that really is a need that rises to the top for the friend, all the table members can work together on that. It just doesn't just fall on that one person. So, okay, next slide. Thank you. So this is kind of the process for training and launching a table. So once, and let me say this, so generally we're looking for, about 5 to 6 volunteers per table. And so the whole table does train together as a team. That's a really important part of kind of coming together and building that team cohesion before working with the friend. But also, multiple tables can train all at once. So using a faith community as an example, we actually have a church right here in Columbus that did 10, they recruited and had enough people for 10 tables in 1 year. And I think they trained 6 all at once, and then they trained 4, another cohort of 4. So it doesn't just have to be one table at a time. So, you'll kind of organize all the volunteers together once they're recruited, and then there's a video modules, and then you kind of have an operational meeting once the training is completed to really, get ready to operationalize the table and work with the friends. So it's 6 training sessions total. So generally, during the training time, that's going to take a little bit more time on behalf of the volunteers, because training is about 90 minutes to 2 hours each week. Usually you do once a week for 6 weeks. And then once training is over, then it's just those 1 hour weekly meetings. And so then while training is happening, whatever referral partners, that we're working with locally, they're working to figure out which friend they want to refer to the table and match with the table. And so that person is identified, and then the table actually launches, and those weekly meetings commence. And then the after plan is all about once that year of the table has ended, the after plan is an intentional process by which each table member, based on the relationship that they've developed with the friend and their own common shared interests, they define what they want ongoing relationship to look like after the table has ended. Next slide. Thank you. So our training is on a platform called Open Table University. So if you'll go ahead and advance to the next slide, I'll share with you a little bit about what that training looks like and what the components of it are. Next slide, please. So each table, as you saw, each table has leaders, and so there is a separate handbook for the leaders that the tables receive. Then table members get a quote-unquote textbook. These are all electronic documents that tables get. So they get a textbook. The textbook contains not only content that accompanies the video pieces of the training, those video modules, but it also has a lot of materials that really support the work of the table throughout the year in helping table members know how to work with a friend and how to address some things that the friend might be facing. And then there's those 5 video modules, and so that's what the table does together as a team. And then finally, the referral handbook, that is the training that we have on the referral side for the partner organization that would be referring the friend to the table. Because as you can imagine, it's not just a commitment for the table members, it's also a very big commitment for the friend. And so the referral process is really important for helping the mom or whoever is going to be served make an intentional decision and an informed decision about choosing to be a part of the table. So it's really impactful to think about the idea that tables it's not just about the 1 year, because our research has shown that 95% of friends remain in relationship with table members 2 or more years. So the impact that tables are having and the community members that come together to form these tables, it's not just that 1 year, it's 3 years of impact or beyond that tables have. And then these are some other outcomes that our research has shown. 95% of friends report that they're optimistic about their future ability to be self-supported. 95% also say that they would like to serve on a table themselves to help someone else. 91% identify that they feel like they have become part of a new family or an extended family. That's one of the things that across the country, not only our referral partners, but also the friends have named as so important to them, because they're receiving very valuable programs and services. But the table, a lot of the friends really, when they first come to the table, they report that they don't really have a lot of daily consistent support outside of professional services. So they don't have strong connections with family members or community members or people that are what we consider a quote unquote natural support. So knowing that the table really becomes like family together with them is really crucial. 85% say that they report having a better job or in college or technical school after the table has ended. 82% have a more positive view of their future and their own personal growth. And then 73% say that they have enhanced self-confidence. Next slide, please. So this is Jessica. And Jessica is a young woman who aged out of the foster care system, and she was pregnant when she started working with her table. And so this is a short video clip where Jessica is going to share about her experience with her table.
The reason that I was placed in the foster care system was my mother was very abusive and alcoholic, and we were unstable. I never had my own pillow. And I will never forget the moment that I was able to lay in my own bed and have my own pillow. And I remember hugging my pillow and just thinking about how, yes, I missed my mom, but how amazing it was to have my own pillow. In my 8 years in foster care, I lived in 15 different foster homes. I became numb to relationships. It wasn't nothing to me to lose someone. It was just normal. I was like, okay, well, I guess they're just over, you know, and I would move on to the next home or to the next friend. I was lost when I aged out of the foster care system. I was homeless. I didn't have nowhere to call home. You know, I was tired of that. I was tired of always feeling lost. I then got into a relationship that was just very abusive and mentally unhealthy. I was really struggling in the unhealthy relationship that I was in, and I was losing myself. I was able to find out about Open Table through the BCFS Center, which is a transitional center that helps former foster youth transition into adulthood and do all the things that they need to do to be successful. During the first month of being on the Open Table program, I found out I was pregnant. I was in the process of getting evicted, my car broke down on me, I didn't have a job, but that's when my Open Table helped me get where I needed to be. We had 4 goals. The first was to get my car. The second was to get a driver's license. The third was to help me find a stable home for me and my son, and to get me a job that was going to allow me to provide for my son. At first, being on the Open Table program, it was very uncomfortable for me. Growing up in the foster care system, I was never cared for. And I was finally around 7 people that wanted to care for me, and that was abnormal for me. In the beginning of my pregnancy, I knew that I wasn't gonna have anybody to call. I knew that I was gonna go to the hospital and I was gonna be alone. But I had someone to call. I had someone to be there for me, and that was Teresa Turner. She's always there for me. She is like a mother to me, and I never thought I would have a mother figure in my life. So currently I work at the San Antonio Area Foundation. I love my job because my passion is to help people and to change the world and to give people hope. And that's what my job does. My future goals would have to be finishing school for communications and psychology. But my overall dream is to open up my own nonprofit for foster youth girls who have children in the foster care system. I want to see young girls smile because there's hope. Looking at my son and looking at who I was when I started the Open Table, they helped me grow because they never abandoned me. I know what love is now. I would have never had this without my Open Table.
So I'm going to introduce Tab to you. Tab is the Associate Director of Moms to Be. Moms to Be is one of our primary partners here in Columbus for the initiative specifically here that is serving expectant moms. So Tab's going to share about what they do at Moms to Be, what is unique about the moms that they serve, and a little bit more about the needs. And then when Tab is finished, we will have Joe and Markayla come up and share a little bit more about next steps.
Hi guys, thank you all for being here. This is actually a really exciting time for Moms to Be. So real quick, our program, we're just now hitting 12 years old, and we serve program education sessions in 3 in-person sites right now each week, and then 5 Zoom sessions every week as well. So the only requirement to be in our program is to be pregnant and living in Franklin County. Our main mission, number 1 mission, is to fight infant mortality and put our hands around the moms and support them. We fully believe no woman should be alone through this process. And as you can see with the examples like Jessica, there's 100 different ways we can help do that. So the team of Moms to Be has all kinds of great disciplinaries. We have dietitians, we have nurses, but we can't do it all ourselves. This past year, we were able to serve a little over 600 women in all kinds of ways. Everything from providing diapers, giving them some resources like to find transportation. But again, we can't do it all. And that's where this awesome relationship comes in with Moms to Be an Open Table. We're really excited to give the community opportunity to help as well as we do. And it could be anything like the transportation is a great example. You know, can someone watch the mom's kids? They can get to the appointments they need to take care of themselves and make those babies healthy. And it just is a positive ripple effect. It's been such a great blessing to see what we can do for the women. And Open Table, we're hoping to continue to expand and multiply multiply every single year. So that's just a little bit, real brief over our program. And we're really hoping that you'll be able to join and bring just great ideas and support. And the relationship is huge to Open Table. The team right now, Moms to Be, is about 20 people, but we want to continue to expand that so that moms can have someone there to support them, even if it's just to listen. Because again, healthcare, we're spread so thin. So any and all support that you guys can give would just be absolutely amazing. So, thank you guys.
And Markayla, if you'll come up with Joe, I want to make sure everybody gets to meet Markayla, because Markayla is the one on Open Table's side who is overseeing this initiative locally. So Joe and Markayla will share a little bit more about next steps.
Yeah, great. So Markayla is the one who is helping to recruit folks here in Ohio. And if we'll go to the next slide, please, I'll tell a little bit more about kind of what the next steps are. And so you can go ahead and click through. I think there should be 3 of them there. So the first thing is perhaps you're interested in serving on a table. So right now we are in the process of recruiting 5 to 6 volunteers that will serve on a table for a year with a friend, meaning that they will work with the friend for an hour a week in the meeting, and then outside of that, continue to build relationships that will serve one mom for a year. And so we are currently trying to recruit 10 tables here in Columbus that will be serving 10 moms. So one thing that you can do is volunteer to be on a table. And Markayla is going to be in the back after this is over if you're interested in doing that and asking questions about that. You want to say anything about that, about being on a table? Yeah.
I hope that you want to be on a table. No, but we do have information sheets back in the back. I would love for everyone to fill it out so we have your information. We will contact you. We also have brochures that gives you information about being on a table, and we also have a QR code that you can just scan on your phone, and then you can get the information as well. So if you have interest, just let us know, and then we can get you more information to be on the table.
Fantastic. Another way that you can be engaged with Open Table is just by supporting a table. And so what does that mean? Well, perhaps you're coming from a faith community, and your faith community happens to have a daycare. Lots of the folks that we serve across the country, often childcare is a barrier for them to get to the next place that they want to get to in their life. And so if we have a faith community that can help assist in childcare, maybe you're someone who is connected to lots of other people, like Miss Susan. Those connections always help folks who are on tables, right? Because that's what the community is all about. And then the last thing there, the last call to action is spread the word. We are hoping to come back to Columbus in September. Is that? First week of October. And when we come back, we would love to host another event to get more folks out to hear more about the incredible relationship that Open Table has with Moms to Be and how we are partnering together to really bring about good for these moms and to really change, to leave a legacy, right? To change young people for generations to come. And so helping us spread the word. So what can you do tonight? You can sign up to be on a table. You can say, I'd like to support a table. Is there something I could do just to be a support to Open Table? Last thing you can do is help spread the word. Is there anything I'm missing, Angie or John? Is that good? Okay. And so after we are done in here, there are cookies and refreshments in the back. We would love to invite you to stick around and ask questions if you have any. But just really quickly, we've got a few minutes. If anybody has a question right now that they'd like to ask that one of us may be able to answer. Anybody have a question about anything? Yes, ma'am. That is a great question. So we have already started this with network tables. And we didn't talk about network tables tonight, but we are already starting to meet with them, and they've been going on for about 2 months now, 3 months. And so, but with the core tables, we're hoping to start them in the next month. So by mid-September, early October. So we would like to launch at least one table by that point.
But we'll gradually be adding tables between now and the end of the year. So, for folks that might not be able to start right away, we'll continue to form tables and launch them, throughout the rest of the year.
It's an ongoing process.
And then into next year, but the goal is 10 by the end of this year.
I have a question. Yeah. I was just wondering if people could introduce themselves who are here. Who are you? How did you get here? And a little bit about you. It'd be great to know about you. It'd be great.
Okay, well, I'm Pastor Jennifer Casto. I'm the pastor here at Epworth. We are happy to be hosting this event. I serve on one of the network tables with Markela, and one of the Moms to Be groups meets here. Actually, the largest of the Moms to Be groups meets in our building every Tuesday. So I am deeply committed to Moms to Be, and as is our church. And I've got my guys in the back doing their thing.
You're doing a fantastic job back there in the back. Very good.
I am Kaisel Carbone. I also currently sit on one of the network tables with Jennifer and Markela. I moved to Columbus about 10 years ago and immediately became involved with Moms to Be because the creator, Dr. Pat Gabby, I knew her at Vanderbilt. And so when we were coming up here, and so for many years I volunteered. I think it was their first site in Langley Park that I met every Wednesday. And I'm a pediatric nurse, oncology nurse practitioner, so I always worked with the babies and the older children. I don't think that's where Dr. Gabby wanted me, but that's where they needed me, and that's what I loved. Well, then with some different issues, and then COVID, I had to back away. So I got involved here because Twinkle Shody, who used to be, I guess, the director, had asked me to do it. She said, okay, I have another way you can help. So.
How about over here?
Okay, so I have a quick question. Sure. So what are network tables? And what do you all do as far as a network? I understand with the open table, perhaps what our position would be, but what do network tables?
Yeah, I'll take that one. I don't think I'm sure.
Somebody else explain.
So a network is it's a table just like the core table, but what the volunteers on a network table do, rather than working with one mom for a whole year, think about moms that have so if you think about the continuum of needs that a mom can have, core tables are meant to be for a mom that might have more complex needs that could really benefit from working with a table just, individually for a year. But there can be other moms that have, maybe what we say in network table is, it's one priority support need. It's asking a mom, if you can name just one thing that if that one thing could be solved for you, that one challenge, that one barrier, it might move forward all these other things in your life, where it would be kind of the one thing that would really make a difference for you. So a network table is serving a lot of moms throughout the year. So anywhere from 3 to 5 priority support needs for anywhere from 3 to 5 moms per month throughout the year. So one of the things that happens with network tables, as you can imagine, because they're serving more moms, if the relationship piece doesn't form as much. So one of the things that network tables really are grateful for is they get to serve a lot of people, but then with the core table, one of the really things that volunteers are really grateful for is the opportunity to really build that deep relationship with one mom for a year. So that's the difference between networks. And network tables also support these core tables. So if a core table is working with a mom and they're really focused on relationship and some of the other things, and if a mom has a need, and maybe that core table needs additional support trying to solve, because court tables work on priority supports too, but it's a lot of priority supports for the one mom. So the network tables that are already working with moms to be, once these court tables get up and going, network tables can also really be an additional support.
So like getting a driver's license for someone, or helping to get a computer or a laptop for someone that might need a
A
laptop.
job internship. Child care, like we mentioned.
And I want to make a comment with my past work with Moms to Be as a volunteer in person. As an open table, a lot of these moms are not initially trusting of people at first. So that relationship you can build with them could be incredible. Because they've got that same group of people that they can learn to trust more in this.
I can imagine that, and I'm so glad you said that, because I could see that, if something was always, ever evolving, it's like that young lady had mentioned, if there's not a chance, or she doesn't want to take a chance.
Yes, they were just gone. They were just
to have a relationship, or even want to develop one, right?
Right.
Okay, so I appreciate that, as far as that explanation, that helps me process things, and perhaps where I need to fit in to this. And with that being said, my name is Robin. And I am so glad to be here. I had spoken, with Miss Markela initially earlier this year, and I wasn't quite too sure about where it was going to go. I thought it kind of like dropped off. I had referred my friend Tia to this particular program, and of course, my referral to this program came from the lovely Miss Susan. So very glad to have met Miss Susan. She definitely is a powerhouse as far as making sure that people stay connected in Columbus. So thank you again, Miss Susan. I am a recent graduate of OSU's Community Health Worker Program.
Oh.
Yes. So one of the most wonderful things, and again, through Miss Susan, one of the most wonderful experiences I have had. I have degrees and whatnot, but that has truly been something that has impressed upon me what my role is as far as what service needs to be. So I'm so very glad to be in this place and space at this particular time. I would love to be able to go ahead and grow and learn from you all. And again, and I understand, it's not a transactional relationship. It's a relationship that's supposed to be built upon not just the give, but it's the give and the take, the ebb and flow. So I would love to be a part of all of this. So thank you.
So one of the things that we say all the time, that we are about transformation and not transaction. So you're one of us.
Oh, that's so sweet. All right. I appreciate it.
Miss Tia?
Yes, my name is Tia Stewart, and I was referred by Robin. I got to get the mic. Check.
Oh, yeah, All right.
Okay, my name is Tia Stewart, and I was referred by Robin Watson. Me and Robin has volunteered plenty of times in doing similar stuff like this. We did it with 211.
Okay.
We were ambassadors with them.
Okay.
I'm always interested in helping out someone. I have 2 children of myself. One's 30 and one's 25. And my daughter is the one that somewhat struggles here and there, trying to get her life together. She has 3 children, single mom. One is an autism child, so that's really challenging for her. And they're 3 and 2, so 8, 3 and 2. So, I get a lot of information from Robin when I need to. If I can't figure it out, I'll call Rob like, hey, I need some help to find something, So we kind of bounce off each other. So, this type of thing that she's going through, makes me want to help others as well. To, find out more information and seek other areas where I can't find things, but someone else can. So, I am married and my children does not live with me, so thank you, Jesus, on that one. They are grown, but they don't live with me. Been married for 6 years now, so kind of newlywed still. It's just me and my husband, and we do have grandchildren, so I have them a lot. And, you know, I'm just trying to help out and make sure they're taken care of. Like I tell everybody, I just want to make sure my grandkids gets what they need and experience life in a godly way, should I say. So that's where I'm at, and thank you guys for having me, and I like what I hear, and I hope to work with you.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just hold it right here.
Yeah, I'm Melissa Neese, and I actually I did work for OSU Extension with Susan in Wyland Park area. I do work for the Schoenbaum Family Center with OSU, and I just like helping the community and seeing the community grow. We've taken people who didn't have a job to making sure that they have jobs. So that's just a rewarding experience for me.
Yeah, that's great. Wow.
Background as far as that. I do human resources. I am a human resource manager. Right now, the company I'm currently working for is DSP Logistics. We hire people for Amazon, driving trucks and stuff like that. So just wanted to let you know, but I do have also a background in healthcare as well.
So your folks need a CDL?
No.
They don't.
They do not.
We'll talk later.
Okay. I didn't bring my cars, though. I forgot to bring my cars, but I do have them. And then I also have human resource manager at a home health care. I was there for like 13 years, so have that as well as background.
Yeah, wow.
Thank you, Tara.
A champion on one of the networking.
Yeah.
We're trying to pass it up.
Oh, do you want the mic? Oh, yeah.
No problem. My name is Susan Colbert. Is this on? Okay. Oh, okay. My name is Susan Colbert, and I'm a retiree from The Ohio State University. And I became acquainted with Moms to Be from its inception. Dr. Patton Twinkle, when they initially received the grant, Wyland Park was one of the first sites in the city of Columbus. As a matter of fact, Wyland Park had the highest infant mortality rate in the city of Columbus at the time, and it was over 10 years ago. And Dr. Pat and Twinkle went to the university and they said, we got this grant and we want to help the families in Wyland Park, especially these moms. These babies are dying. And it was so intriguing to meet them because oftentimes we hear about the statistics and we say, oh, we're so dissatisfied or how unfortunate that this is happening. But then, like you said, we were like upholstery, what did you call it, upholstery? Yes. We just sat and we just sit in the chair and say, oh, woe is me, I'm sorry to hear about that, and just keep it going and think nothing of it. Well, Dr. Patton Twinkle, they were either a part of the problem or a part of the solution. And so one of the things they did was, when they received the funding, the university had encouraged them to reach out to Extension because Extension had that relationship with the residents in Wyland Park. And like you said, those residents, you have to have that trust. You have to have that relationship. And because we had that trust and that relationship, they reached out to us. And I tell you, it was the best thing that ever happened because we were what you call the original open table. Because we had in Wyland Park, the Wyland Park Collaborative, which was comprised of community, corporate, collegiate, church, as well as civic organizations and representatives. So when these families had issues, they came to Extension. And when they came to Extension, I tapped into my social network, which was this collaborative. And so when you all talked about the open table, it just brings to bear how important it is to bring these resources to help these families. So I applaud you all for what you're doing, not only in Wyland Park and throughout the city of Columbus, but throughout the country, because it truly makes a difference. Because like I said, you either are part of the problem or you're a part of the solution. And I look at this open table model as an opportunity for us to get off our butts and raise up our sleeves and try to make a difference and help. Not only the mothers, but the fathers, and even these children, you know, because, you know, oftentimes, you know, we try to encourage people to, you know, save lives, you know, but then we got to help support these families. And I am so, you know, so passionate about being a part of the opportunity to help these families not only deliver healthy babies, but to help them grow into young, productive, you know, young people and citizens. So I just wanted to say I'm glad to be a part of the team, and that's how I became a part of, you know, the Open Table and through the Moms to Be. And like I said, I applaud you all for what you do and all the champions that are willing to take time from their busy schedules to raise up their sleeves and try to make a difference in their own right. So that's all I have to say. Okay.
Well, that's a tough act to follow. My name's Lisa Jones, and I am Homeowner Services Director at Habitat for Humanity here in town. And my good buddy Susan Colbert said, hey, I think you need to be part of this. And when Susan says you do something, you just do it, right? So come to find out, we have...
That's why I'm here too, because Miss Susan told me to come tonight, so...
So I am part of the network table, I believe, with Michaela. So nice to see you guys in person. It's usually been Zoom. And I believe we have 2 ladies that went through Moms to Be that are homeowners, came through the program and now homeowners. So
that's fantastic.
I'm excited to get to work and see what I can do. And thanks for having me.
That's awesome. You know, all the time we talk about the fact that what we do as Open Table is not rocket science, right? But because relationships and building relationships ought to come naturally for us. But the truth is that it's often really, really difficult, right? Particularly with folks who come from different backgrounds than we do. And the thing that Open Table does is that it gives you the model and the tools to help develop a relationship with someone that you might not be able to otherwise, right? Because of all the things that we think make us different. And they don't, but we think they do. And what Open Table does is that it uses those relationships to help folks to move forward. And so hearing stories about Mom to Me moms now owning houses, like that's the point, right? Like that's what we're doing, and what Open Table can do is to help folks to get there as well, with a group of a support system that they might not otherwise have, right? And so, all right, I think we should stop talking because the cookies are being cookie. The cookies are calling my name. But we are all going to stick around. We will be here. If you have any more questions about anything, please don't hesitate to ask. There's coffee and water out in the narthex there, and cookies. And if you're ready to sign up, Miss Markela will help you to do that. But thank you guys so much for coming tonight. We really appreciate you being here. And please, please, please grab a couple of cookies before you leave. So.